Most welcome to Unified Fields. Today I'd like to talk about youth, young people that feel out of their mind, that feel while studying at university, do not know what they landed into. They miss out the psychology of what their study is about. They miss out inspiration, they miss out support, they miss out mental capacities. And whatever faculty we are looking at, there is a missing link in which people need to be put in their strength and open their mental faculties, attitudes to the highest possible level, and that misses out in every faculty. Because why? Because science misses out on educating it. Science misses out on pulling that knowledge through they haven't learned themselves. So I've been studying this for 15 years now, and that was pretty interesting, especially number one, in the faculty of psychiatry, the faculty of the arts, number one, the faculty of architectures. There's so many faculties that really could offer students so much more education that comes down to self-education. And I also pulled out a pilot program to put people at universities in my city hustled into their strength, but it was taken away from those who won actually the fitness club in universities, not giving students the opportunity what they really need, but giving them what they want. So how can a young boy or a young girl age 18, 19, 20s, whatever, know what their body needs to uplift their mentality, their psychology, and so much more? So here I'm willing to put out pilot programs in order to offer every student and every faculty the opportunity to educate themselves from the inside out and merging that with the outside capacities and whatever is being offered as a program. Because without the authentic self and knowing the psychological capacities and adjusting the attitudes towards any study, most young people feel completely lost in their strength, lost in self-esteem, lost in trust, lost in the power of the word and how to communicate. Most can't even communicate, because what is going on is when you get up in the morning, that is social media, your tablet, your cell phone, and so the inward world, the inner self, is completely neglected. I've also experienced a lot of students age 22 till 28 who can't even communicate, let's say just casual communication, and started to communicate as they communicate on social media. And that is a big problem, right? So here my education programs with any faculty would go in the re-education of what light technology is and the existence of the human body and how we can study that, because every problematic static can be loosened up or be found a solution for if we learn to focus on it with every other faculty we have in the brain and coordinate that. I have another video about coordinating or becoming the mental psychological director of your brain's capacities, and that goes far beyond the mundane. Because why? Because when being born in soul consciousness, there is no education that states how a little person or a baby can outward the outer world. They need to digest everything that comes up to them. And so I've witnessed many students digesting incredible problems with the outside world, with friends, with parents, with educators, with almost everything. And when that gets or becomes a ticker tape on their brains, how do you want them to really become a strong person with a strong PhD, with a personality that has opened all its faculties? It's not only the brain, it's the heart component that needs to match the educational systems as well and really understand it. So, for example, if I would educate in the arts and the psychology within color far beyond what psychologists know, because it's new universal knowledge I've been studying, and so we can download that, all of us, but the brain needs to be prepared for that. And in order to become so strong, self-confident, and change any mentality and attitude we have towards the self, with whatever capacity we would like to develop, there is massive capacities we can open up beyond mundane consciousness. And that becomes very interesting, because if going inward and learning to focus on the inward world instead of all that social outward world that makes you go crazy and distracts you every single minute, you can become professional at anything that you study and open up new technology within any faculty, and then it becomes very interesting. For example, somebody studying in the arts of music and opening their inward world to what a musical vibe can be like, and listening to tones that get into their head and composing music with the exactitude of laser lights, with the exactitudes of the authenticity of yourself and being aligned to that. That is a massive output. That can also go back to those studying in the arts and combining colors and knowing why colors are being applied in a certain piece of art. That is pure psychology that makes you change your own brains. When I come up with any piece of art that comes from my focus, my meditational input, and so I'm not a regular artist in the regular term, so I didn't educate myself in the arts, but I did educate my mentality, my brain, and without even knowing it, I was pushed and triggered into buying canvas and colors and paint. And so all that comes out of my hand is without a concept. All I have is colors and the consciousness within colors. And when I start painting, the outward world diminishes. It doesn't exist anymore. And the concept comes when the particular piece of art is finished. So that's a complete inversion of what most people do. Same goes for those studying architecture. Same goes for those studying the deeper levels of mental capacities. Those studying physics. That would be massively interesting to go with, and changing the entire nomology. So here I'm thinking of bringing back the strength of light consciousness into these young people, that offers them support program in which they can fall back all of the time, and anything that is being developed in the inside will automatically reflect on the outside, and that is the beauty of the science term light. And I mean, many physicians and scientists are getting into the open with acknowledging that there's more universes than just one universe, but when loading them in a body and really working with this airplane as a human being, then it becomes massive what we can develop together and become really, really strong people with a new voice, with new capabilities, with new skills. We become all special skill builders because we are all very unique. But being unique in soul consciousness is not that unique because there is too much identification with the outward world and other people. When you become unique in your own self through spirit consciousness, meaning you become inspirited every single second, and that is the minute everything comes supremely interesting. And I've also learned so many young people fear just about everything. Like many that finish their studies are afraid to live alone, are afraid to building a business, are afraid to open up their first job, are afraid to talk out and talk their own walk in their jobs. They fear just about everything. So how can you stand strong when you fear just about everything in this world? That makes up very, very weak young people. And well, let's just say if we open up that program in every faculty and students become open to learning about themselves, it's incredible how they can flow through their studies with ease and grace. And that is really needed at this time. Ease and grace and knowing what they are doing. So if you need more physical strength, there's an output for that. If you need more trust, there's an output for that. If you need to finish up anything in a very small amount of time, that is possible. It's easy to give youth extremely interesting things to evolve, to progress, and to be successful on every level of their life. And I hope universities and high schools and everything are going to be open to these new things and be open for new programs and how to recalibrate psychology and mental capacities and thus skills. That means health, wealth, success and joy on every level of your life, and not being stuck on relationships, not being stuck on things you don't understand in your own study, not being stuck in anything. And that brings society to a new level of re-education and a new level of cooperation and cooperative programs, which are massively interesting for this new age we are living on the planet. So I hope there is some opening to at least make students listen to new lectures. There's a lot of videos I've out there and how people miss out on their health, their wealth, and their will to stand strong as a human being and really build a life every day. I really want to know what is out there, what is my organism about, why am I being planted up here And that is certainly not to have a boring life, because everything that is outside of us is inside of us. It's a matter of discovering what we are capable of, and that is about our unlimited potential, really. Like Mr. Nikola Tesla would term it, he hardly needed just 1 hour of sleep because he only ate. And so he used the maximum of energy from the universe within and would spread the light outward. So he got his musical vibration, like he was saying all the time, like, it's like my ears are as big as the big universe, which is number one truth, because if you can hear the higher harmonics and you can feed your vessel with these harmonics, there's no disease that can enter your body. Yet today we need so much re-education on health, and that is all about knowing your own electricity, your own electrical output, like becoming the streams of light that carries pure consciousness. We can today really heal every disease through the technology of light, which is eliminating old consciousness and refueling your organism with new consciousness and opening up to that. And that should be educated in every faculty, because today we can see that health is going down on an everyday level, and so we need to re-educate the faculty of medicine into a healthy lifestyle. We need to re-educate what is interesting in the faculty of chemistry, biology, science, physiology, astronomy, how we can connect with this universe, many universes, how we can connect with the solar system, and what that consciousness is about, how we can interchange mentality and attitudes, and become quite intelligent, how we can use the higher levels of intelligence and bring through a new level of wisdom and how to work with your organism and the organisms out there. That is intercommunication with the elements. And so studying these things in every faculty, going in the astronomy, going into the science of the universe, and those the science of yourself, because we are all stars and part of the universe, and studying underground a little bit in the biology. I noticed myself there was so much information not yet known to the human kingdom that is very beneficial for our health. And also in the departments, especially of psychology, when talking to, for example, a kinetherapist, they are very interested in movement, but not in the psychology of movement. So I was very surprised. How can you be interested in movement when not knowing the psychology or that consciousness that makes somebody move or get stuck in the body and does their lifestyle? So there is a lot of missing links in every faculty that need to be coordinated, and so the general director can come together and open new pathways, especially also in engineering, new architectural output. The psychology within anything that the earth has to offer and the chemistry that comes to Earth, how we can purify the Earth. We know how to fertilize the Earth. There's some very interesting biologists out there who handle that very well, but maybe have some missing links in the breathing system, how the Earth breathes, our own breathing system, how that can be repaired, and thus from starting out from the breathing system and getting the physical body, and so the psychological output into perfect health is what would be the biggest cure on the planet, actually. And so knowledge is needed, and of course, number one, the level of interest of how can we fuse such a program into every faculty, and also how can people gain so much more knowledge in their own faculty by working with their own organism, and thus the whole universe and many other universes. It's a matter of deleting the old brain, the stuck patterns in the brain that dumped down every day these days because of the density that is going on the earth plane, and the food industries, the health department. So we could here work together and create a new coordinator for every faculty, actually, which is very interesting. So my art really came through the elimination of density, and thus being able to load my spirit in my body and my brains, a spirit that gives you 100% directions. Spirit is pure inspiration, and so science, spirit, the chemistry that comes out of it, all need to be able to work together. Otherwise, we will always create gaps in the system. Like scientists would talk about the black holes. Well, our brains are filled or fused with so many black holes that need to be filled up, because those black holes are actually very, very interesting gates of knowledge we haven't tapped into, but that is easily accessible if we want to do that. When are people willing to do that? When they get severely sick, when there is no way out, then they give attention to their health, to their wealth, their lifestyle, the problems we have with the chemistry of the earth, and thus our health, and how we can move into a new dietary system that derives from the origin of creation. And so there is so much to learn that is so interesting. And so one day I just couldn't hold myself back from all my self-educated studies, and it came out of my hands through my art. And my art is explaining what broke the earth, and thus especially the number one broken chord has been male-female components. Everything that has been coded on relationships has been broken down, and so in that department comes out practically on every piece of art I made, because if we want to create perfection in the body, then the male-female components in the self needs to come together in the first place before we can gain higher knowledge. And on the other side, we can see I've worked a lot with the biology, the chemistry of earth. I've worked a lot with the elements, especially with the repair of the elements, and the animal kingdom, and so much more. So that is what you see in my art, and that is unstoppable. So I do not have to think, the spirit is guiding me. And so every piece of art comes through me like an inspiration. All I need is a bit of canvas, some paint, and just start it out. The concept comes when the work is finished, and that is 100% spirit aligned and infused, and that is technology we need today on earth. We need that technology that comes out of the self, that is reinventing and recreating with the universe, because the universe is 100% 24/7 in recreation. We continually recreate. But when the brain waves have been cut off from their thinking patterns and communication levels with the elements, with everything that is out there, we cannot find our passion, we cannot find ourselves, we cannot find what is the origin of our vibration here on earth. And so many people get stuck these times, or are even becoming disinterested in anything there are. So imagine if educating the science of light, and scientists are getting open to this right now. I'm very happy to see this. They knew the missing component was spirit in the body. Somehow, even though many cannot handle the word spirit, then think about your heart. What makes your heart beat? When your heart stops to beat, there is no more life, right? And so we can bring life back in the body through the breathing system that cuts off any brain capacities. So here it's very beneficial, especially for the health department, anyone that wants to study medicine and come out with new programs and how to heal people in the future. All natural programs need to know about universal psychology. A natural expression of the inner life principle is to refine and improve the qualities of its outer vehicles, that it may the more easily control and direct them. It's quite evident that the more refined your substance, your organism is, the more easily it is influenced by subtle forces, so you can find your authentic identity, which is a book of knowledge of its own. And so also remembrance comes true, because everything that we once saw, heard, read, or learned does accompany us in the form of light particles. And these light particles are very obedient and faithful and communicate to us, if only we knew how to. Well, that can be learned. So remembrance comes through many highways where so much respect and uniqueness is being valued, you cannot possibly start to think on a low level. It is definitely another approach, because it has spirit moving and speaking the natural way of truth. And so these days people are very constrained by their reality, and thus unable to create a reality that has massive, unlimited possibility, and that could educate people on an everyday level, that could make them change every month, every year. And thus, with the art of learning about consciousness and how we can shift consciousness every day, comes the art of waiting that has been cut off the planet for many, many eons, and that came to birth. And that is almost the most important education you can give in order to understand any education. Yeah, it is not being educated not even in the faculty of medicine, biotechnology, physics, chemistry. And I think my whole research, meaning studying anatomy, biology, physics, research within geometrical patterns that alter the chemistry of the cellular structure, gave me knowledge of how to alchemically decode and re-encode the body and the brain and eliminate what doesn't sustain mental, psychological and physical health, with, of course, a deep observation of its behavior and attitudes towards transmutation. So as a teacher of light technology, counselor, writer, fitness instructor, poet, artist, reader, healer, my spark was really inspired by many, many musical charts and their cellular output. And that really made me understand I could make my life a really passionate journey into many, many dominions, which everybody can do. So self-education, exploration and universal sciences fascinated me in many ways and took me really through a laboratory of in-depth studies to discover our original essence, and a lot of disciplinary determination to really ride the fearless tracks of wonder and integrity. Once fear is eliminated, because young people, they stream on a high degree of fear and almost fear everything, and reason why they fail in everything they want to achieve. So eliminating fear is the first level of health, actually, and it required certainly a level of alienation and many years of intense studies to open and understand what it takes to open the pathways for new education, as we need to really invert the old mechanisms as is massively seen in economics, in politics, in any faculty. So let's say I have no artistic background, but I really felt there was more to discover in myself than being exposed through the means of the internet, the written materials, the information deck on the planet that has not been upgraded for decades. So I sourced from deep insights in to other realms of shared consciousness and found techniques inspired by really unique experiences to construct a gateway to other worlds where possibilities are really infinite. So from there on, I started to work with languages of light, with light grid systems. Many essences that are pure or very natural, but that people forget about for a long time, such as the elements and what feeds our body through conscious breathing system, natural herbs, seeds, the rivers, the seeds, the plants, the animal kingdom, and anything that can be discovered to assist the human population on their journey back to a disease-free and control-free, enjoyable, original lifestyle. But with modern-day technology, with modern-day apps, throughout many seminars, gathering sessions, apart from my creative outlet to art, fashion, alignments, and so much more. So let's say that my work really joins visionary architecture with mundane interpretations. So working mundane, let's say modern day, working on opening many new blueprints created an explosive desire to really paint my information in a way that my designs were born by alignments throughout the cosmos. And so designs became a strong, expressive treasure chest where science, spirit, and a modern-day rebel meet under the same roof in order to create instant changes on any level of consciousness and shake that really into a newborn, omnipresent I am presentation, or the strength and intelligence within self, not of yesteryears, but what is required in the world we are living in today. So when I offer my services, I truly explore myself. It's like giving answers to self and all nations sourced from so many sources and forces out there. It is rather exposing a consciousness that is truly valuable for the times we are living and what can be done to assist humanity and especially the young ones to shift consciousness on a daily level. There is thus a plethora of ways to explore and expand on my work through anything or through the gathering of many possibilities. It is like morphing through universes, through the human mind, to the human brain, to everything that killed humanity, and give some understanding and remembrance to ancient technology, knowing there is something greater that really pulses, streams, morphs through our plasma to assist the individual journey and transformation. So let's say that I consider myself as a creator, investigator, working for new truths, which is a most powerful expression in my art. My artistic name, Preview, was born out of advanced knowledge, and it advertises forthcoming sceneries on Earth viewed in my art and expression throughout my teachings, throughout whatever I deem appropriate to study. And so that comes down to the evolution of the human brain and how that could alter brainwaves conform to the exactitude of alignments that we can breathe through, resulting in many changes in consciousness. So breaking the sound barrier of the electromagnetic field and moving through that gives many options for dialogues with many other star systems. So these dialogues open the living libraries of new knowledge, filled with massive data that comes into expression while doing the work I do. And that can only be a very passionate quest. Education is an art in itself. If knowledge is being applied to young people starting age 5 all the way to age 12, and other programs would be put out to give these people the capacity of opening their mental, psychological health first before educating anything else, that would bring massive change. So every faculty in any university is or carries a level of art, no matter how that comes out. Everything is simple electricity. Imagine if in medical studies incoming new doctors would learn about laser technology being applied to the breath, the breathing system, and how that could heal your body out. How about knowing or infusing new aspects in the engineering department, in biochemistry, pathology and plant sciences. Change is coming around because the old is collapsing already. So let's give the young ones a chance to tap in to a new educational system that makes them passionate. It all actually comes down to shifting consciousness on an everyday level and witnessing the upgrades in the brain, the upgrades in our thinking patterns, and open up capabilities beyond what is known in quantum physics as of now. Quite naturally, that would mean that we merge or equal out with quantum physics in brain waves and radio waves, and everything that doesn't run smooth, like stuck old patterns, need to be removed or inundated. Exactly the same as when you open your fridge and there's any product that is out of date. Quite naturally, you would put it in the trash can, right? So people are not used to doing this with all consciousness. It stands in the way of evolution. But today we have quite fun techniques in order to do that. And it actually means moving from a binary system into a trinary system and loading that in the body. There is really no way anyone could stop you moving at the speed of light and becoming quite authentic. And that is so much fun, because if you become authentic with spirit in the body that moves you, that talks through you, that is so important in order to open up new technologies in every faculty. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.